Before Babylon was a city, it was an idea. It was the idea that human life did not have to unfold randomly. It was the idea that order could be designed and stability could be planned. Long before walls were raised or names were remembered, people here agreed on something rare. They agreed that survival was easier when it was shared. This film is not about a city that vanished. It is about an idea that proved so effective, it never truly went away. Between two great rivers, life was never guaranteed. Floods came without warning, and rain could not be relied upon. Hunger was always close to those who lived on this land. The people who settled here responded not with prayer alone, but with cooperation. They cut canals into the earth and measured fields with care. They agreed on when water would flow and to whom it would belong. For the first time, survival was no longer negotiated daily with nature. It was organized by people working together. As the settlement grew, familiarity was no longer enough to govern daily life. Too many people lived too close together for memory alone to resolve disputes. Expectations required clarity, and conflict required consistency. So Babylon wrote its rules down. Law was carved into stone so it could be seen by all and altered by none. Punishments were defined, and responsibilities were shared. Justice became something that could be relied upon. This did not make Babylon kind, but it made it predictable. Predictability became one of Babylon's greatest strengths. Babylon did not limit its attention to the earth. It turned its gaze upward toward the sky. Night after night, scholars climbed onto flat rooftops and observed the heavens with patience. They were not searching for signs or messages from gods. They were searching for repetition and consistency. Over time, they noticed that the sky behaved in regular and repeatable ways. Stars returned to familiar positions, and planets traced paths that could be anticipated. Eclipses occurred according to patterns that could be recorded and studied. The universe no longer appeared chaotic to them. It appeared orderly. Jupiter was observed for generations, not for admiration, but for prediction. Clay tablets filled with numbers replaced stories filled with symbolism. Once the movement of the heavens could be measured, the future felt less uncertain. The same logic was applied on the ground. Time was divided into precise units so work and governance could be coordinated. Space was measured into angles so land and architecture could be planned. Value was reduced to numbers so trade and debt could be calculated. 60 seconds became a minute, and 60 minutes became an hour. 360 degrees defined a full circle. These were not gifts from nature. They were agreements made by people who believed that order was preferable to uncertainty. Babylon did not invent mathematics. It built a society that depended on mathematics to function smoothly. Law became consistent rather than personal. Trade expanded safely beyond local exchange. Power became administrative rather than symbolic. The system worked. Life became more stable, wealth increased, and the city grew with confidence. Yet this success carried a cost that was not immediately visible. When reality is reduced to what can be measured, qualities that cannot be measured begin to lose influence. Wisdom, restraint, and moral judgment resist calculation. Babylon did not remove these qualities deliberately. It simply learned to function without them. Babylon produced more than it required to survive. Grain filled storehouses, and markets moved steadily through the city. Food was prepared at scale, and labor was carefully organized. Specialization increased, and trade expanded beyond the city's walls. Abundance here was not accidental. It was engineered through systems that ensured consistency. Even celebration followed structure in Babylon. Feasts were regulated and rituals were scheduled. Excess was contained within systems designed to manage it. Babylon did not collapse under its wealth. It learned how to manage abundance with confidence. By the time Babylon reached the height of its confidence, it no longer limited order to streets, law, or numbers. It applied the same control to beauty itself. Water was lifted and guided upward through stone channels. Soil was carried to terraces where nothing had grown before. Roots were fed by schedules rather than seasons. The hanging gardens were not simply decoration. They were a demonstration of mastery. Nature was no longer left to grow where it could. It was arranged where it was desired. To visitors, the gardens appeared miraculous. To those who maintained them, they were infrastructure. The gardens did not grow by chance. They grew because systems sustained them. At Babylon's peak, even life itself was designed. When Alexander entered Babylon, he met no resistance. The gates opened, and the temples stood as they always had. The city continued to function as it had the day before. Babylon did not fear Alexander, and it did not resist him. Alexander chose Babylon as his capital and made it the center of his ambitions. From here, he planned further conquests and imagined a unified world. The city provided everything he required, from administration to comfort. For the first time in his life, Alexander remained in one place. He governed from Babylon, and he celebrated within its walls. Alexander died in Babylon at the age of 32. The city continued. Babylon changed rulers without changing itself. When Cyrus of Persia took the city, administration continued uninterrupted. Scribes kept working, and records were preserved. Power shifted quietly from one ruler to another. For some, this transition was seamless. For others, it was not. Along the riverbanks, exiles gathered and remembered what had been lost. For them, Babylon was no longer a system that promised order. It was a wound that reminded them of what had been taken. As centuries passed, Babylon changed again. The city became story, and then it became symbol. In Scripture, Babylon no longer referred to a place on the map. It referred to a condition of the human world. Babylon came to represent excess without humility. It came to represent order without wisdom. It came to represent power without restraint. The figure known as the Whore of Babylon was not a person. It was a metaphor for a civilization that mistook control for meaning. It was a warning about what happens when systems grow faster than judgment. Babylon no longer needed walls to exist. It no longer needed temples or kings. It lived on in memory, language, and imagination. Babylon began by measuring the sky. That single choice reshaped civilization. Once stars became numbers, time became units, and value became data, the world could be managed with remarkable efficiency. This approach brought stability, wealth, and power. But it also narrowed vision. When a society believes that everything important can be measured, it slowly stops asking what truly matters. Babylon did not vanish when its walls fell. It became familiar. Its methods were repeated. Its systems were copied. Its numbers endured. Babylon is not buried in the earth. It is a way of thinking, and every age believes it will use that way of thinking wisely. Babylon is gone, but its echo remains. In every city we build, in every wall we raise. The stones are silent now, but the metaphor still speaks.